I personally believe that we don't have enough holistic background on hormones coming off of birth control, and I really had to dig up a lot of knowledge to do it on my own when I was coming off birth control. I think as women, we have to advocate for making that decision, whether it's staying on birth control, coming off, but knowing your options at the end of the day. The appointment that I'm taking you with today is just going to be the initial appointment to get the means to test my hormones, so I'm not going to find out anything today, but that's kind of why I'm taking you along, so you can have a better idea of what this process looks like, what it costs, how it looks in terms of what feedback you're getting, and if it's something that's worth doing yourself. I'll be sharing my results and all of the in-between. I will also have my doctor kind of be talking and telling you a little bit more about this test, and I'm really excited to kind of take you guys along on this journey, as I am equally as excited to do it myself, because I've been waiting over a year to see how my hormones are doing.
Okay, so you are ready for your Dutch test.
Yay.
Before the Dutch test, we addressed some of the orange and red flags on your previous labs.
Yep.
And now that you're feeling better, now that your body's functioning more optimally, every cell is functioning optimally, we've addressed some of the deficiencies that we talked about.
Right.
You are now ready to take the Dutch test. So, here's the packet. And let's first discuss when to collect.
Okay.
So, Dutch test gives us 2 full days. You can only drink 40 ounces of water. These are the test strips, and each one of these strips is color-coded.
Okay.
So this is the first one, the green one. To write down all of your information, including your name, date collected, time collected, and after that you can urinate on this strip.
Okay.
Put it on the toilet and in a bin maybe somewhere, so that it can dry completely before you put it back into this plastic container. The first sample you want to take 10 minutes after awakening. So next one is 2 hours after waking.
Okay.
Next sample is dinner time, approximately 5 p.m. Next sample is approximately 10 p.m. before bedtime. And the last sample you don't necessarily have to take unless you wake up in the middle of the night. And the only reason for this test is because Dutch test does not only test your female hormones or male hormones, it also tests your cortisol levels.
And that's where we saw kind of that dip in the night.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
So I won't see that unless I take the overnight one?
Yes, so if you wake up frequently in the middle of the night, you'll probably wake up and you'll probably have to pee on it. Usually when patients wake up in the middle of the night, I see that cortisol is high at night, low in the morning, energy, fatigue problem.
If they're waking up to pee in the middle of the night, it's likely that it's high in the night.
Yes.
When I submit this test, which I'll mail it in to wherever it tells me to, then I'll be able to get the results sent back to you. They're sending it back to you. And then how long does that process take?
About 2 to 3 weeks is when we'll get those results.
Got it.
And you'll come back and I will interpret the whole test for you, and we'll set you up on a treatment plan if needed. Maybe it will come out just completely perfect.
Yeah, I hope so.
So this test will show us your female hormones, estrogen, progesterone, as well as your androgens, testosterone, and cortisol patterns. So this is kind of like the summary page of everything that we'll see on this page. These are letters and numbers of everything that we'll see on here.
Right, and as you can see, it definitely needs to be interpreted by someone who knows what they're looking at. It's not like an easy test to read.
Here's the progesterone metabolite. Just look at, is it enough? And what is the ratio between estrogen and progesterone? And then you have your estrogens, estrone, estradiol, and estriol. Estriol is dominant during pregnancy. Estradiol is dominant during our fertile years, and estrone is dominant during our postmenopausal years. This is what is so important. So estrogen has 3 metabolites. 16-hydroxyestrone, 4-hydroxyestrone, and 2-hydroxyestrone. And we want to make sure that we are preferring the green pathway that does not mutate DNA and does not cause any symptoms. A red pathway mutates DNA, direct association. If red pathway is increased past 11%, that is dangerous and needs to be addressed to prevent
If
DNA
the red,
mutation.
you're saying?
Yes. Blue here is more or less associated with PMS types of symptoms. I've read some studies that actually also point me in the direction of the blue pathway potentially increasing the risk of pathologies. So a little bit of the red is fine, and primarily green is what we're aiming for. This is one of the preventative tests that you can take for prevention of DNA mutation within your female organs.
So if someone were to have like it in their family, this would be a good test to take to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. It also shows us how well are you methylating, and methylation happens and the DNA level. Too low or too high of methylation can lead to DNA mutation. All right. Finally, this test shows us cortisol-cortisone balance. Specifically here, I look at the cortisol pattern. So as you can see on this patient, it's a dysfunctional cortisol pattern, correct? She's waking up with okay cortisol. However, it's supposed to peak higher toward 12 p.m. and it's supposed to decrease slower toward the night.
Okay.
So very likely this patient is very fatigued after the 12 p.m. mark. And finally, this test tests for other markers including the B vitamin, gut marker even, dopamine, melatonin. One of my patients had very high melatonin because she was taking melatonin to help her with sleep, but it was not the problem. The problem was very high cortisol at night. So I had to stop her from taking melatonin and to address cortisol, and she started sleeping just fine through the night. And it shows you the oxidative stress, basically. Free radicals to antioxidants, free radicals damage DNA. And you just want to make sure that you're within a good range there. The difference between functional medicine and allopathic medicine lies within this therapeutic order of treatment. Allopathic medicine is what we see in hospital or clinic-like settings. Throughout the schooling of allopathic medicine, what the students or the future doctors focus on is medication and surgery, and you need the full 8 years plus residency in order to know what medication to prescribe, in order how to do a procedure. Functional medicine focuses on addressing the root cause of disease. For example, if someone presents with non-suicidal depression, the approach of allopathic medicine is usually to prescribe an antidepressant medication, vaguely speaking. The approach of functional medicine would be to look into blood work. Do you have a vitamin or a nutrient deficiency, such as vitamin D, that will also affect your mood? Are you doing what you're loving, right? Or are you bringing yourself to a place that you hate every day, right? So it's addressing the root causes, supporting and restoring weakened systems. So for example, hypothyroidism. Sometimes hypothyroidism is due to selenium, iodine, and iron deficiency, because you need all of those nutrients to support proper hormone production. Physical alignment, so that's exercise, yoga, swimming, PT, chiropractic. That is the whole difference. If a patient presents with hormone imbalance to an allopathic practitioner, usually, at least from everything that I've heard from my patients, they're given birth control without
me.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're given birth control without any prior testing, even of their hormones, even of the blood level.
Right.
Which can be dangerous, right? Because if you're putting someone on estrogen-based birth control and they're not metabolizing estrogen properly, that can lead to not great consequences. Also will not address the root cause, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have progesterone deficiency, well, why do you have progesterone deficiency?
Right.
Why do you have estrogen dominance? And all be addressed via medicinal diets and prescribed medicinal herbs and supplements. Unless, of course, you have an appendicitis flare-up, then you need this. So this is emergency care most of the time, and this is chronic conditions, chronic disease care.
Fast forward to February 27th, I waited to take the test until I had a very clear ovulation cycle. And my last cycle last month was just not very clear when I ovulated. Now I'm doing it. I just took my first test. This is what the test looks like. You pee right here, and then you have to let it sit out and dry for as long as it takes to dry. It says 24 hours. A couple things about this test is, one of the main things is I cannot drink more than like 40 ounces of water combined today, because obviously like chugging a lot of water will like water down your pee. So definitely just a minimal water day. It's technically leg day for me because it's Tuesday, but I think I'm just gonna rest from the gym or just like go for a walk outside, because typically on leg day I am chugging water. The first one I had to take 10 minutes after waking, so for me it was around like 6:02 to be specific. My next one is 2 hours after waking, so 8. My other two are dinner time, so around 5 p.m. and then bedtime around 10 p.m. After I take the bedtime one, I'm assuming I can drink water. I'm looking forward to that moment. Food-wise, you're not supposed to eat bananas if you're not a regular eater of bananas. Like if you just randomly have banana the day you're taking your test, it can impact the results because of something in a banana, as well as I think avocados. Tomorrow I will put them back folded into this plastic bag and ship them off to the lab. Okay, so me and Maria just finished going over my Dutch test results. There was no like major flags, would you say?
Absolutely.
But still stuff, obviously, that I want to assess and that Maria has protocol with supplementing that we are going to go through, but she's going to give a quick overview without going too much into detail on the scientific reasonings behind everything.
So some of the symptoms that Bella presented with was a little bit of facial acne, as well as some breast tenderness and PMS symptoms. And of course with that, I always want to make sure that there's a good balance between estrogen and progesterone, such as there's no estrogen dominance, progesterone deficiency, as well as I want to make sure that there's no excess testosterone. Increased testosterone in females can definitely cause acne, which we were able to rule all of that out with Bella.
Yay.
Which is amazing. What we did find is liver metabolism that's a little bit on the sluggish side. So we looked at her cortisol balance, and her free cortisol was high versus her metabolized cortisol is a little low, which points me in the direction of liver and specifically liver metabolism. Looking at her hormones, once again, progesterone is picture perfect, estrogens are great, she's metabolizing those estrogens pretty good. However, low methylation, so her methylation process, which is essentially a process that happens within all of the cells in the body. It happens in the liver. It helps us metabolize and helps us detox. It helps us turn on and read genes. That is a little bit on the lower end range, which is exactly what we're going to be addressing. Testosterone looked good. That is honestly pretty much it. We did just have a 1 hour discussion about the test, and we went in great detail about
we went into everything. And also something that I found interesting is too, when you're kind of like scrolling on TikTok and looking at keywords, if you are struggling with something hormonally, is you automatically like really grab onto like keywords like excess estrogen, estrogen dominance. For me, taking the Dutch test, that was really helpful, is like ruling those things out, because obviously when you hear someone with similar symptoms, you like gravitate to automatically assuming you have this or that, but it's really important to do the work and like get the specifics, because I could have went through a whole different protocol on my own and it would have not even been any of the things that I've actually heard about on the internet, because I didn't even consider the liver really. But something I did find interesting was, and why it's fun working with someone who also has a holistic side. Maria has a very in-depth holistic side, but we actually brought up, what is it called, the Chinese...
Oh yes, the Chinese clock.
Yes, and so I wake up naturally sometimes in the middle of the night around like 2 to 3, and the Chinese clock, if you do wake up around that time, is addressing the liver. And so that was something interesting that we also added into it that kind of makes sense to the whole picture of everything that I think we also talked about before we even did the Dutch test.
Yes.
So things kind of like fit into the puzzle pieces too when you take these tests. Also ruling out some things that could be more serious as well.
It is absolutely so important to do these tests, because symptoms wise, you know, it could have been, oh, she has a lot of testosterone. Oh, she might be estrogen dominant.
Right, but until you do it, you never know.
Exactly. Yeah. And here we see that the hormones are in pretty good ranges.
Yeah.
And actually her blood work also showed her that her liver isn't damaged by any means. Like, she didn't have any high liver enzymes. However, when I look at, oh, you know, free cortisol is very high, metabolized cortisol is low.
Yeah. Right.
She's not metabolizing at least the cortisol well, right? Oh, let's look at the next page. Methylation is in the lower end range.
Yeah.
So even on this test, you really need to know how to read it well, because it's not obvious necessarily that, oh, this is the liver problem, right? You have to look at very specific pieces of this test.
You've read how many of these tests at this point? Like hundreds,
yeah,
I'm assuming?
Many.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's the summary of it all. If you have money to spare and you're investing in your health, this is a really important test, I feel like, specifically as a woman to take. So I would definitely recommend finding someone who can provide you not only with the test, but with experienced results in order to digest the information to you, and you offer that to online patients as well as in person, correct?
Absolutely.
I will be putting all of Maria's details and contact information so that you guys can contact her and inquire about her services if this is something you're interested in. And again, she will help you through the process of the Dutch test and making sure that you have someone qualified to actually interpret these and read these and put you on a plan after, so that you can have a customized, like, holistic treatment for assessing whatever comes up for you on the Dutch test. Definitely follow her because she posts a lot about this stuff if you don't necessarily have the money to invest currently, but just kind of want to soak in some information like a sponge, like we all do on social media. And I think your content's amazing for that.
Thank you. The sooner that you can take this test, honestly, the better, especially if you have any hormone imbalances.
Definitely invest in your health and surround yourself with people that are going to support you in that. And I really believe in like the holistic part of it too.
Absolutely.
And would 100 times over recommend Maria. So again, I'll link all of her information below, and definitely inquire about her services so that you can get on the track to a more holistic and full pictured, health profile. Hi guys, so I am currently going on my FullScript portal right now. As you just saw, Maria and I went through the whole Dutch test and kind of what I'm addressing and assessing in our next plan of attack. Also, if you don't follow me and you don't already know, me and Maria already did blood testing, and when we went through the blood testing, I was low on a few markers. So when she says that it's important to address like the red flags first, that is what she's talking about. So my B12 and my vitamin D were my like orange flags out of my nutritional deficiencies that we just did through a blood test. So that was the first plan of attack that we did, and that was a couple months ago, earlier in the year. And then now that we did the Dutch test, now she has a new FullScript for me, so I can kind of show you guys what she is currently doing for me, specifically for my metabolism of the liver. So I can walk through exactly what she has me doing. Hopefully you're able to see this. So for 1 month, I have to take 2 scoops of this Mediclear by Thorne. It is very full of lots of vitamins and different amino acids. So this is what I will be taking in my shakes that I will be doing. So I take 2 scoops of this for 1 month in a smoothie form. Then I'm taking clinical glutathione. So basically what this is a tablet, and I take it twice per day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. And then MethylGuard Plus, which is basically a capsule that I have to take 3 capsules with lunch for 1 month. And then I will be taking activated charcoal, which can be kind of heavy and intense on the system. So I'm only going to be taking it for 2 weeks instead of a month. 2 capsules once per day. So 2 capsules, 2 hours away from food. And then liver SAP, which is liver and detoxification support. For this one, I will be doing 2 capsules once per day with dinner. She also makes you the sheet so that you can see everything in a really nice manner of what you'll be taking and exactly when to take it. And then within that, exactly recipes for what she recommends for like the shake. She also puts in what you'll be doing in addition to this. So for example, I'll still be taking my vitamin D and then my omega-3. I hope this really helps you get the confidence to take the Dutch test, or at least give you the knowledge of what it could look like if you are struggling with hormonal issues. I think it's important not to shame anyone for their health decisions, but to advocate for other options if you are looking to do something a little bit less traditional and seek holistic advice. I think it's super important to know that there are options, and especially as a woman, we have options, and to advocate for that is so important to me, especially as a coach to multiple women who are struggling with different hormonal issues, endometriosis, PCOS, all of that I'm seeing daily. I think we need more research that is specifically done on women, because we don't have enough, to maximize our health. If you are in southern Wisconsin and you are looking for holistic help, I would definitely recommend Maria. But if you are outside of this region and you're looking for someone more online, Maria does all of this Dutch test online. I hope this was helpful, and thank you guys for watching.